Well, the trail system started when Rich Hildahl was president, before I was. And then I came on, and when I was at large, when he was president, that was also the year that our lease was up with the DNR. And so he and I worked together to put together what we presented for the DNR for our lease that year. And we got the representative from the DNR was a Winnie Wright lady that came out, and she actually came out and visited with us. And Rich wanted to show him our woods back there, and he had with our resident architect come up with drawings.
Jim Olson.
Where we could come up with picnic areas and all this sort of thing scattered through the woods. And what a great idea this was, but the biggest problem that we were facing was that the whole area behind the clubhouse into the woods was just marsh. We have a spring-fed stream that runs through the property that's year-round. But where it comes down and with added rainfall in the winter, it floods over, and it floods the area. A good portion of it floods out. And I think that Jimmy, that's now doing this, has figured out where the log is that's causing the flood. And I think we may get it changed finally, because I could never find it. But the end result was, at that time, when we showed her this and told us how we were going to do all these wonderful things, and she thought it was great, and she wrote up our new lease for the next year, which was a very fair lease that we could live with, and she also added that we could add 50 feet to the end of our docks if we wanted. We never even asked for it, so we were happy. I got to thinking, all these woods, and there was one sort of trail, but you couldn't use it except for just a month or two in the summer, kind of. And so I got to thinking, man, and I've worked in the woods type thing, this is something I've been doing since I was probably 7 years old. So I got very interested in that. And I started and actually spent probably 15 years now developing the trails that you see there. And the help I got was just fantastic. I had a Boy Scout unit come down with their parents and spent 2 days working. AmeriCorps.
Yeah.
They showed up down the peninsula, and they get extra credit for their education if they do additional work to what they came down there to do, which was to work on a
They were working on the camp down there.
on a camp down at the end of the peninsula. And so I got word of this and went down and presented to them what we'd like. We'd had some work, we'd like to do new trails and this. And next morning, 14 of them show up and spend all day, and they came back the next day. And we built new trails, and we graveled over, we did all the things that...
Put bridges.
Well, we started, there was basically one bridge when we started, and it was rotten and falling apart. So I was fortunate enough to have somebody suggest that we work with a marine company, Marine Floats, who put in metal, and they got all the latest plastic and all this. And what they do is they had collected in their yard a bunch of old gangplanks. And if you go look at our woods, you'll see 3 gangplanks that are bridges now in the system where the creek comes through. And then I added 4 more little bridges, we just built them on the spot. So we now have 7 bridges that meander back and forth where the stream goes through. And I'm still working on it. I got 1 more that we're gonna do when they build the garden they're talking about. There's an area up there that's untouched. and it's all our property, and there's gonna be a trail going through that whenever they never could get to it before because the blackberry's thick, just, and there's no way I could plow through that, so. But that all started back when Rich Hildahl came up and showed these drawings and got the thinking going, gee, we really ought to use these woods for something. And so I basically took that on after I stopped being president. I just took on trails, and I've been there ever since.